Raider Nation, what is up? This is Darth Raider, and I'm coming at you with my Week 9 preview matchup of the Las Vegas Raiders against the Jacksonville Jaguars. If you guys haven't, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit that like button here. Leave me any kind of feedback, gladly appreciated. As always, with my preview, we're going to go through some injuries. We are going to take a look at the Jacksonville Jaguars. We're going to go through the keys of the game and some predictions, so stay tuned. As you guys can tell, the setup is a little bit different, so apologies if the audio is not sounding too good. I'll try to work on it as best as I can. As you can see, we have a couple of people back healthy. There still are some questionable people here, so let's go ahead and go through them. We got Divine Diablo, we got Neil Farrell, we have Darren Waller. All are going to be questionable. I personally suspect that we're going to be seeing Divine Diablo and Neil Farrell. Not too sure what's going on with with Darren Waller here. He's still battling through that hamstring injury. I'm hoping that we can go ahead and use them this week because it's absolutely needed. He's a big part of our offense, and we haven't been able to use him all season. As mentioned before, this was a quick injury report, so there it is. So we're going to go ahead and move on to taking a look at the Jacksonville Jaguars. As mentioned before, we are going to be going to Duval to face the Jacksonville Jaguars at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 a.m. Eastern. I actually did something that I haven't done before. I actually took a look at the all-time record between the Raiders and the Jaguars. The Jaguars are leading us in a series of 5 games to 4 games, so they have won 5 against our 4 games. As most of us might recall, the last time we actually met the Jaguars was in Oakland while we were still the Oakland Raiders. That was, oh man, shoot, that just reminds me, oh my God. Yeah, that was actually our last home game in Oakland. So, in typical Raiders fashion, we actually were leading the game for most of the game until it was time for us to, kind of close out the game. That didn't happen. So Gardner Minshew and his brilliant mustache led them down the field and scored a touchdown towards the closing of the game, which actually gave us, I don't know, I think it was like 45 seconds or something like that to march down. We tried to Hail Mary it, but it didn't work out. It actually hit the face mask of one of our receivers. Man, what a game that was! Man, that was incredible. Just because it was one of those things where we had all the Raider legends out there, and everyone thought that this was going to be a lock. We got off to a hot start. Everything was looking good. It looked like to be a party. Everyone was out there. Everyone was partying. And of course, like I said before, in typical Raiders fashion, we just fucked it up. So the Jaguars are led by head coach Doug Peterson. If you guys don't recall who that was actually the coach of the Philadelphia Eagles that year that they went to the Super Bowl and beat the Patriots. Their current record right now is 2-6, which most of the time you would think that's going to be bottom of the division, but they're actually not. They're actually third in the AFC South. But they have been in a bit of a losing streak. They've actually lost the last 5 straight. They actually didn't win any games in October. So it is a new month for them, new month for us. But keep in mind that these are the type of games, I should say, that when we go in there, we think that we're actually going to win and we end up losing. So I don't think this is going to be an easy game for us. I definitely think it's one of those games that they're going to try to come out at home and try to get the crowd into it and stuff like that, try to get us out of the rhythm, rush the quarterback, for example, and keep the running game alive. So as we take a look at the team stats, they're actually ranked 21st in passing yards with 218 per game. They are ranked 7th in rushing yards at an impressive, 144 yards per game. They're averaging about 21 points per game, which is 20th best in the league, and they're actually allowing 19.8 points against, which is actually 10th in the league. So as you guys can see, the defense is actually a top 10 defense, but their offense is just not up to par. So we're ranked 17th at 225 passing yards per game. We are ranked 18th at 115 yards rushing yards per game. We are ranked 12th in points scored at 23.3, and we're actually allowing 24.9 points against. So that's actually 25th best. So as we're kind of looking at these numbers, if we're going to average these guys out, it's probably going to look like it's going to be a pretty close game between us. I personally think it's going to be a lot more rushing than passing, just because that's the strength of both teams, to be honest with you guys. So look for the game to end quickly, I should say. So as we dive a little bit more in depth into some of their key players, I'm only going to go into 3, 2 on offense and 2 on defense. The first one is actually going to be Trevor Lawrence, their quarterback, second-year pro. As you see here, I pulled up his stats right here. He's actually ranked 12th in yards, tied for 13 in touchdown passes, tied for 22nd in interceptions, with a QBR of 45.6. That's good for 21st in the league. So in my opinion, the most important and the X factor type of player for the Jaguars is going to be Travis Etienne Jr., the rookie running back out of Clemson. If you see the stats right here, it might not be that impressive, but don't let that fool you, because he's actually just taken that lead role. If you guys don't remember, James Robinson got traded to the Jets earlier, about a couple of weeks ago. So, everyone in the organization is making a statement saying that Travis Etienne Jr. is the lead back and he's going to be the one moving forward. While his attempts and his touchdowns might not seem like it's a big deal, like I said, keep in mind, he just started out, he just carved out that starting role right now. But as you can see, the impressive numbers here is that he's at 571 yards rushing, and he's averaging 6.2 yards per carry. That's third best in the league. Listening to a couple of pressers and a couple of insiders, or whatever you might call them and stuff like that, Travis Etienne Jr. excels in the outside runs. So like those outside zones, the HB tosses, the HB cracks, those type of runs is actually what he is great at. Not so much running in between the numbers. And as far as their defense goes, they don't have a lot, to be honest with you. They do have a lot of young studs in the defensive line, but a lot of these guys are maturing right now. Their leader right now is going to be Josh Allen, linebacker out of Kentucky. If you guys remember him, he was actually in the same draft that Cleveland Farrell came out of. But in the season so far, as you guys can see, he's got 13 tackles. He's got 3 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, no interceptions, which is okay. But to be honest with you, we do have trouble with a lot of linebackers and defensive ends that rush the ball a lot. So look for him to kind of cause havoc to our offensive line. All right, guys. So we've gone through the injuries. We have taken a look at the Jags. Now we're gonna go ahead and move on to the keys to the game. So my first key to the game is getting Davante Adams involved. The Jacksonville Jaguars are averaging about 6.7 yards per pass. That needs to get better. They have allowed 10 touchdowns so far this season, but they do have 8 interceptions this year so far. So I'm hoping Josh McDaniels can get this guy open, maybe design some plays. What I don't want to see is any trick plays involving him. I just want to see him go out there, and just abuse these DBs, break some ankles, get open. Couple of long balls there, but I'm definitely looking for Davante Adams to have a huge game. He definitely needs it. I think if we can get him going, everything else will just kind of start falling into place. So my next key to the game is actually getting Josh Jacobs a little bit more involved. I think compared to last week, that nobody showed up. For the most part, he has been, he has been the offense, to be honest with you. With he had a couple of games with 140 plus rushing yards. He is averaging about, I think, 5.5, maybe 6 yards per game so far this year. So honestly, if it's gonna happen, it's gonna start with him. So it's gonna be a huge task for the O-line to get this guy open, get this guy get some blocks for him and get him downfield. And the final key to the game, guys, is gonna be stopping Travis Etienne. Like I said, this guy is number 3 in averaging rushes per carry, and he's I think what was it, like 8th as far as rushing yards go. So this guy has been a late bloomer. I think it was just one of those things where they wanted to get him set up for the offense properly, but now that he's actually owning that offense, he's their weapon. So it's going to be one of those things where we have to do our best job to limit him. And as I mentioned before, this guy likes to run towards the outside. So Max Crosby, Coons, Chandler Jones, all those guys are going to have a huge task to kind of keep him contained, not get him to the outside, and kind of get him to the middle. All right, so now that we have actually talked about the keys to the game, injuries, we took a look at the Jags. Now it's going to be prediction time. Based on what I've seen as far as like their averages goes this year so far, like I mentioned before, I think it's going to be a really close game. Look for us to be kind of, you know, fighting with them the whole time, to be honest with you. I honestly don't think that both teams are going to be, you know, getting away from each other. Timeout. Let me actually, but you know, we said that against New Orleans, and you know, obviously look what happened. But you know, if we're going to be averaging out of what's been going on, you know, most of the season, it's one of those things where I think it's, you know, it's going to come down to the final, you know, to that final drive. That being said, my finals prediction is going to be Raiders 23, Jaguars 21. I think we're going to get the ball in our last drive. We're going to go ahead and get the ball, and you know, Daniel Carlson is going to go ahead and seal it for us. So Raiders win a close one. All right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in once again. Like I said, go ahead and subscribe, hit this like button, leave me any kind of feedback. I really appreciate it, guys. Hopefully next time I do this video on Monday, you know, it's going to be talking about a win. Raider Nation for life.